There's still no clue as to what caused the jet loaded with soldiers to go down Thursday. But crash. Half of them have yet to be identified. Flags have been lowered to half-staff over the Capitol in mourning. President and Mrs. Reagan will be at Fort Campbell, Kentucky Monday for a memorial service. Later, they'll meet the victims.
There are symbols of mourning at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, the place where the bodies of the crash victims will be brought. But the faces of family members show the magnitude of the tragedy. Families with young sons, brothers, and husbands who have learned the worst and who are trying to deal with it. In Dallas, Moses Hardiman places his faith in God.
I could complain, but then I have to thank him because he was kind enough to give us Chester. For the time that we had him.
Young Chester Hardiman had called his father minutes before the plane took off and crashed in Newfoundland. Minutes later, Moses Hardiman heard about a plane crash on the news and then heard all aboard had been killed. He knew his son was one of them. Brian Harris of Cleveland was adored by his parents. His father described him as a son a father had prayed for all of his life, then left the interview.
I just hate that his life ended so young because I wanted to do so many other things that he hadn't done.
All of the victims were headed back to their home base, Fort Campbell, Kentucky. One of them was Frank Wheeler. His death marked the fourth tragedy in the family this year. His adoptive parents in Texas had lost two other sons in accidents and a grandson in a car crash. One family managed to smile. Eric Harrington missed the flight in Cairo because he lost his passport.
It was God's miracle. It had to be. He had plans for him, I'm sure.
But that joy has only come to a limited few.
In other news, motorists have plenty to grumble about, from snow that fell from New England to Oklahoma. This accident was just one of many caused by the foul weather. A slick roadway in eastern Massachusetts caused a 50-car chain reaction pileup that closed State Highway 3 for 2 hours.
It was arranged by TV20 and is about to begin. So let's go to Mike McKee in the TV20 Live Eye at Gainesville Airport. Mike?
Yes, Ralph, we're here at Sunny South right now, about to embark on a trip to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, where the parents of Private First Class Eric Harrington will meet his parents. Eric and his wife, Brenda Harrington. I've got Mrs. Harrington here, Eric's mother. It's been a long ordeal, first waiting to hear word on whether Eric was all right, and then finding out he was all right. How are you feeling right now before this trip?
Well, I feel great. I'm glad it's almost time. In a couple of hours, I'll be seeing Eric.
What about Christmas? Is it going to be special this year now that with this ordeal that we've all been through?
Yes, it'll be the best Christmas in my life. It will be a happy, happy Christmas.
Okay, and I've got Eric's beautiful wife here, Brenda Harrington. Brenda, I know you've only been married a short time. Losing Eric and then getting him back all in a couple days' time. What are your feelings about the trip to Fort Campbell?
I can't wait until we get there because I want to tell him how much I love him and how much I want to be with him. It's going to be great.
I know there's going to be a family reunion in Lake City when we all get back with Private First Class Harrington. His wife, his mother and father are going to make the trip with us. We're scheduled to leave in about 15 to 20 minutes right now. Ralph and Carol, we'll see you when we get back.
Thank you, Mike. As we always say, more at 11. And the entire nation is watching the fate of this trip. The I-75 rest stop near Micanopy is still keeping police busy. This time, deputies were called to a shooting out there. 35-year-old Jackie Williams Spencer allegedly fired a couple of shots at a man she had an argument with. She missed him and then drove off, according to the police reports. Well, deputies spotted... Too many cases and not enough judges. A clogged court system in Marion County may be getting some help, though. Jeff Dillon will have a report.
And
weather and sports.
Good evening. I'm Carol Kaplan.
And I'm Ralph Hipp. The first leg of a joyous reunion is complete tonight. Members of Eric Harrington's family are in Kentucky, courtesy of Sunny South Aviation of Gainesville. The networks are waiting to grab the tapes of the Harrington reunion. Eric should be back in this country at 5 a.m. Thursday. Our Bob Williams reports on the Gainesville half of this trip.
The past week has been an emotional roller coaster ride for the Harrington family. First, the fear Private First Class Eric Harrington was killed. Then uncertainty from news reports. Finally, joy. Eric lost his passport and missed the plane. Tonight, the family boarded a plane which will take them to the soldier. The trip arranged and paid for by Bill Cousins, who shared the family's anticipation.
If somebody didn't provide this trip, that they wouldn't be able to see each other over the holidays, and I felt when notified by TV 20 of this situation that it would be a good thing to do.
Eric's wife, admitting this would be her first flight, was nervous, but her message wouldn't wait.
And I missed him, hands off. And this will probably be the best Christmas that I've ever had, because it'll be the first Christmas spent with him.
As the family boarded the plane, Eric's father couldn't believe this trip was made possible because a lost passport forced his son to miss his.
Of course, I'm having to tell him about how I used to get on his case about him being forgetful, but I'm glad he forgot this time. I'm going to have to tell him about that.
As the Harringtons embark on a reunion they will never forget, the hearts are still filled with sadness for the 248 other men who lost their lives like their son almost did. Bob Williams, TV 20 News.
Thanks, Bob. And at Fort Campbell today, military transport planes brought back the last of the plane crash victims, including a lot of Eric Harrington's friends. Carol?
State prosecutors argued for the death penalty today in the case of 39-year-old
family reunion. Mike McKee visited the return of the 101st Airborne Division in Kentucky.
This morning's shuttle launch never came off. The flight of Columbia was aborted just before takeoff.
Also, an FHP commander gets an official reprimand, not for what he did, for what he didn't do. We'll tell you about that story and more next on TV 20 News at 6.
Slams and jams, high skies and high fives. Gator basketball returns for another exciting season. You can be a part of the action by purchasing season tickets. In-state rivals Florida State and South. TV 20 News. Live coverage from the heart of North Central Florida every day. Dedicated to the best in news, weather, and sports.
Good evening to you. I'm Ralph Hipp.
And I'm Carol Kaplan. It is a happy night indeed for a Lake City family tonight. They are back together with their son who might have died last week. He was one of the lucky few who didn't board that doomed Aero Air flight carrying 250 soldiers back to the U.S. The Harringtons were flown last night on a chartered plane courtesy of Sunny South Aviation. TV 20's Mike McKee went with them and has this exclusive report from Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
Private Eric Harrington got off a flight early this morning at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, but his arrival had been delayed exactly 1 week by the worst military air disaster in history. Harrington was assigned to be on the doomed flight, but was kept from boarding the plane.
I'm there without a ticket or passport. So we searched the parking lot, we searched the buses, and still couldn't find it. Everybody else was loading up on the plane, and we're still searching for my passport. My friends told me not to worry about it. Told me I'll be home soon. I told them to have a safe flight. It didn't seem so safe.
For the Harrington family, getting up at 4 a.m. and braving temperatures near zero was worth it. They had not seen their son in 6 months. Their joy was the exception. 248 other families are mourning their dead, but for another 200 families, a routine return from the Sinai had special meaning. At private ceremonies, they were told of the tragedy affecting not only the military, but the men who had worked and lived together. After the ceremony, it was time for reunions. The Harringtons got to spend a few hours together.
Everyone has really been nice. I mean, I've had completely strangers, people I don't even know, walking up to me and telling me how glad they are for me. And I want to thank them all, but I want to thank God for letting Eric not being on that plane.
The waiting is over. It started with the family not knowing whether their son was okay and ended with a joyful reunion. And now on to the best Christmas ever. Eric and Brenda Harrington are staying at Fort Campbell to attend Friday's memorial service for those killed on the flight. Then, after Christmas, Eric will start building new friendships with new soldiers who he hopes someday will replace the friends he lost. Mike McKee, TV 20 News, Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
TV 20 and the Harringtons have asked me to thank Bill Cousins for the flight up there so that you could see that reunion that you just saw. 3.5-year-old Elaine Harrison is the latest person to receive the generosity of a free flight. She is waiting for her plane to leave at Sunny South Aviation after an accident last night in Pulaski. Elaine crawled into a container of boiling water left on the floor by her mother. The little girl has burns over 65% of her body. Bob Walker told us why the Shriners stepped in to get Elaine quick treatment.
The doctor called me this morning to see what we could do.
As George Strait reports, without the Jarvik heart, doctors in Minneapolis believe she wouldn't be alive tonight.
Mary Lund was completely well and feeling fine just 4 days ago. On Sunday, she did think she was coming down with the flu. But by Wednesday, she was near death and being rushed to this Minneapolis hospital. She had a rare infection that destroys the heart's lining, viral myocarditis. She had only hours to live. To keep her alive until a natural heart transplant could be performed, doctors obtained emergency permission from the FDA to implant a new model of the Jarvik 7 artificial heart. It's smaller than the ones implanted previously and was designed specifically to fit women. After this operation, doctors had Lund back in the operating room to correct excess bleeding. Tonight, she's awake but critically ill.
In acute viral myocarditis, the patient deteriorates so rapidly that there really isn't time for transplantation. So if ever you were going to pick a patient who might need an artificial heart as a bridge to transplant, this might be such the case.
Until the problems of stroke were completely solved. But under pressure from the scientific community, the committee is now said to be willing to compromise. Meanwhile, attention is focused on Mary Lund. Doctors say her implant could be the final test of whether the artificial heart is suitable for humans. George Strait, ABC News, Minneapolis.
The Surgeon General has issued his 1985 report on smoking, and tonight we're going to spend some time on smoking and health for the 248 soldiers who died when their plane crashed in Newfoundland. They were members of the 101st Airborne. They were based at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Today, the other members of the 101st came home from duty in the Middle East, and there were tears today as well. ABC's Rebecca Chase was there.
This time, Air Force transport planes were used to bring the soldiers home. This time, the 234 members of the 101st Airborne Division landed safe and sound.
The happiest time is when the wheels of a C-141 barked on the tarmac of Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
It's always in the back of our minds that, you know, what happened last week.
As family and friends waited inside a gymnasium for private reunions, it was clear these soldiers were glad to be back. At this Christmas homecoming, words were not necessary.
Just the look in their eyes.
Did you know
That's the best Christmas that I could have.
I didn't say anything. I just hugged him just to make sure he was there.
The first thing I said was hello, and I gave him a big hug.
But it was a bittersweet homecoming as well.
It's going to hurt for a while.
Didn't want it this way. Didn't want to be sad without our friends.
Private Eric Harrington also had mixed feelings. He was supposed to have been on the plane that crashed, but had lost his passport.
It was a miracle, indeed, a miracle. I'm happy to be here today. I wish my friends were here with me.
But there was a special joy in seeing families reunited, of knowing these soldiers were safe. And that's what prompted this wife to come to Fort Campbell today, even though her husband won't be coming home.
He was on the plane last week, but I was here welcoming him home. My husband would have expected nothing less.
Rebecca Chase, ABC News, Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
And that is our report on World News Tonight. I'm Peter Jennings. Good night.
From ABC, this has been World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Thursday.
Year-old Eric Harrington has more to be thankful for than just a tree and lots of presents. Eyewitness News reporter Nancy Rubin paid a visit there this evening.
Johnny Harrington is busy tonight. Tomorrow is Christmas and the whole family will be stopping by. They'll be here to celebrate the holiday for sure, but they'll also be here to see her eldest son, Eric. The 20-year-old Army private was on his way home from a peacekeeping mission in the Mideast a few weeks ago. He tried to board a plane with the rest of his division, the 101st Airborne, but somehow he misplaced his passport.
I was upset, very upset. My friends told me not to worry about it. I said, okay. But I was, I still wanted to go home and everything.
The next morning, all 258 people aboard the Aero airplane perished when it crashed after taking off from Gander, Newfoundland. Eric's parents spent most of that anguish Thursday thinking he had also died in that crash until he called later that night.
It was joy. I felt relieved. I felt great. And I felt it was a blessing that he was not on that plane.
Eric finally made it from the Sinai to the 101st home base at Fort Campbell, Kentucky last week. And the whole family, including his wife Brenda and their 2-year-old son, went up to Fort Campbell to greet him.
I thought I was going to walk up and shake his hand, but I couldn't. I just walked up and grabbed him. I hugged him, and, I had to fight back tears and everything. I hadn't hugged him ever since he was about 8 or 10 years old.
The Harringtons aren't quite sure why their son was chosen to survive, but they do know there are other families out there mourning instead of celebrating this Christmas. Eric says perhaps God was with him then and hopes he is with the relatives of his friends today.
I give them my blessings and I wish them a Merry Christmas, even though,
Eric will be home until after the new year. Then he and his wife and child will head back to Fort Campbell. Until they leave, though, Johnny Harrington is going to savor Eric's presence more than anything that's under the tree. Nancy Rubin, Channel 4, Eyewitness News.
Investigators are still trying to figure out why a twin-engine plane crashed into a busy shopping mall near San Francisco, California last night. The crash killed 4 people and injured 88 others. A twin-engine plane was trying to land at the fogged-in Concord, California airport when it rammed through the roof of the Macy's department store. The crash showered wreckage on an area where children were waiting to see Santa. The 3 people on the plane were killed on impact, and a woman in the mall severely burned by debris from the crash also died. 18 people remain hospitalized, 9 in critical condition. 70 other people were